so multi-segmental rotation. Kayla, I'm just going to have her show you her rotation. I don't think we saw her do it yet. So knees or feet together, arms to your side. Go ahead and rotate to your right for me as far as you can go. Right? So you're looking for the outer shoulder, not seeing that. This is questionable whether that's 50. I'm telling you, this is not 50, right? So you're kind of looking at this is 0, this is 90. She's right about here. So she doesn't get 50 there, so she's really throwing back a lot here. Right? And so again, she was stability, right? Pure stability. Yeah. So that makes sense because if she was a pure mobility here, then she wouldn't be having all that motion here. So because of this, not having this, maybe she's driving more through here, causing more of a stability issue, not a mobility one. All right? You can kind of piece that stuff together. So now we're going to break this down. So again, the first step is going to be remove body parts. So since she's got both ways, trust me, she's got that both ways. We're going to have her remove the body parts and have her sit on the chair with your butt kind of at the end of it. There you go. We're going to have her in this 90-90 position, feet flat. Right? And then what I'm going to have her do is, because by sitting down, now we took the hips out of it. Right? So now we're going to look just at the spine. So we're going to have, again, she's going to cross this leg over that foot. You have both feet touching the ground. So crossing that foot over blocks her, so she's less likely to use her hips, right? Because when you rotate, again, you're rotating the spine, you have an internal and external rotation of the hip, and you have an internal and external rotation of the tibia. So we're going to block that so her leg doesn't rotate with her. Then I want you to put your hands up, sit nice and tall, put your hands up like someone says, freeze. Okay? And now from there, I want you to go ahead and rotate towards me as far as you go. Okay? And back to normal. And you're looking at 50 degrees. Okay, come back again for me as far as you go. And that's actually not too bad. So this is 0. Again, this is 90. She looks like she's getting about that 50. All right? Now let's go to the left. Again, 0, 90. She's getting beyond 50. Right? So this, with her then, I can stop right now. I'm not going to do any of the spine, looking at the spine, right? If someone came in and they couldn't get that 50 degrees with this, right, that would tell us something's going on with the spine because you took the hips out. Oh, excuse me. Put your left leg over the right. See? My bad. There you go. Now do it again. Like this. Now turn to me. Same thing. So she got beyond 50. Okay, let's make sure you switch the feet when you do that. My bad. Okay, so she's fine here. So it's not a mobility issue. So I wouldn't have to do the lumbar lock. However, and I'm not going to do it, but if she was restricted here, didn't get 50, then you would go and do the lumbar lock, right, the normal one, and then you do the prone on elbows, eccentric rotation 1 for the lumbar spine. Okay? You'd go and do that breakout. I'm not going to do it because I reviewed it before. So we went through that. Now the next part of this is going to be looking, right, you looked at the spine, now you got to look at the hips, and you got to look at your tibias. For internal and external rotation. Since she's here, we're going to be efficient. We're going to keep her here. I want you to put your feet flat, 90 degrees. Okay? And what I want you to do is, I want you to keep your feet flat for me. Now I want you to do like a windshield wiper. Keep your hands to your side. I want you to go stick your feet out and back in. Keep your knees nice and stable as you do that. There we go. Okay, so we're looking for, and let's keep going back and forth. We're looking for 20 degrees external rotation and 20 degrees internal rotation, okay? So keep going. So the AMA, American Medical Association, says 20-20. SFMA and what they've done with their clients and the research they've looked at actually says 40 degrees is more normal for external rotation, okay? But still, they use 20 for the passing rate. So external rotation looks like she gets 20 easy, right? Internal rotation, she kind of gets stuck there. That's not 20 degrees, okay? So let's just note that actively she can't do that. We'll look at it passively when she lies down, right? So that's what we're looking at in the position here, tibial rotation, external, internal. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and lie her down and do some more investigation. So we're going to go out to what end? We'll go prone. Okay? So again, we're looking at hip internal and external rotation. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do, we unweight her, okay? The spine is unweighted. So now we're looking at hip external and internal rotation. Now there should be 40 degrees of external rotation and 30 of internal, okay? So the first thing we're going to do And we're going to look at external rotation. Okay, so we're going to go leg here. What I want you to do, Michaela, is just drop this leg in for me, or as you go, and then come back up. Okay, and do it again for me. That's close. Drop back up. Come back up for me, and do it again for me. Ooh, that's close. I'd probably say she gets 40 there. I'd probably say. If you're in doubt, get a goniometer and measure it out. Okay. And for time's sake, then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the other external rotation too. So go ahead. And come on back. I got to do this side. I got to see. Do it again for me. Okay. Make sure that she doesn't do the reflection. One more time. Again, that's pretty close to 40. I'd say that's pretty close. All right. If you're in doubt, measure it out. So, if let's say she didn't get that, and you can do it passively. Right, so when I passively do it, that's when it stops. So that's 40, right? If I do it passively here, relax for me. When I first feel the restriction, it's right about there. That's pretty close to 40, right? So if she didn't get that 40 degrees, then SFMA would say, let's do a stabilizing again and reorient the pelvis. So what we have the patient do is we put the arms, the head can stay on the towel. We're going to put the arms underneath the table, all right? We're going to come up with this again, and what I want you to do is pull up against the table, and by doing that, you're going to tighten your core, reposition the pelvis, and then go ahead and drop in for me, and see if that changes anything. I don't think it changes it too much, right? So that was if, for some reason, she didn't get 40 degrees actively, then you could do that to stabilize, right? Now we can do the same thing to save time, look at internal rotation. Okay, so with internal rotation, I'm going to have her go ahead and put your arms back up. Now I'm going to have you go ahead and let that foot drop out to the side. One more time. So we want about 30 degrees. That's, I would say that's not 30, right? Same thing here. Actively go out to the side. Okay. Say that's closer to 30, right? Make sure she's not cheating. Okay, so that looks about 30. I would say the other side wasn't. You can passively do it. I can get a lot further passively, right? But 30 degrees is, do one more time out. Come back for me. And get kind of picky with this. And then go out nice and slow. Yeah, I'd say that's close. I'd probably give her that. This side definitely go out towards me. Yeah, I'd say that's not 30 on the left. So she has some interrotation issue there. So we do the same thing, stabilizing, right? Put that hand right at the table. Go ahead, pull up against the table. Now let this drop out. Did it improve? Maybe a little bit. Come back again. Pull up. Improve. Yep. Get 30, pretty close. Okay, now relax for me. But it did improve a little bit, so it might be a pelvic orientation problem. I do it passively. Again, I feel it right there. So that's not 30. Right? And so that's most likely, it didn't improve that much with the stability. I'd probably say that's a mobility issue with interrotation on the left. Right? So by rights, if you think about it, so the left isn't internally rotating as much, right, on the left compared to the right. So sometimes those people have a more difficult time rotating to the left because this isn't internally rotating, if that makes sense. So sometimes you can piece the puzzle together a little bit like that. Right? So that's going to be the hip internal and external rotation, right? But we still need to do the tibial rotation that we did seated. And remember, the internal rotation is pretty stuck, right? So I'm going to have you go and roll over on your back for me. Right, we're going to come on up. And so to assess that, we're going to have her in this 90-90 position. Okay? Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to have a hand on top of the thigh here, hand on the heel, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate. So external rotation, again, you're looking for 20 degrees, which that looks pretty good, right? Internal rotation, oh. So it doesn't like to internally rotate very much, right? Left side, same thing, or yeah, left side, same thing. External rotation gets 20. Internal rotation, not better than the right, but still I wouldn't say that's 20. Pretty restricted. Right? So if she doesn't have interrotation of her tibia, and she's wanting to do this stuff, right, and she's going to the right, and the tibia's not rotating, Sometimes you can have excessive stuff occur in the hip to compensate for that, or even the spine to compensate for that. So with her, she would have a mobility dysfunction, bilateral tibial internal rotation, right? And I would say with her hip, she has a mobility dysfunction of her left hip internal rotation, right? And she has some stability motor control, right, of her spine, right, from previous, right? So if you look at that, what would you work on first? You'd work on mobility issues first, and then work on the stability. Okay? And that's the multi-segmental rotational breakout.